So I'm going to go back in time just a little bit to that moment
Uh-huh.
of being diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel, Mary Kay? Like, what were your thoughts or emotions, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. I was uncertain, obviously. I had never experienced Parkinson's with any family member or even a friend. The only thing I remember as a kid growing up is they would say, "Oh, she's got the shakes,"
Mm-hmm.
or instead of Parkinson's, they had a different name for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the shakes or they didn't say tremors or anything. But I had no experience with it at all. I didn't know anybody that had Parkinson's. Now I know very many people that
Yeah.
have
Right.
Parkinson's. But I kept praying, that God had picked my retirement year to coincide with his diagnosis, that I could be home and be available. Didn't know where it was going to take me, so it was a very questioning time as to what I was going to be involved in and how quickly was he going to progress into the disease. And I know sometimes when you go to support groups or even just to talk to another person has Parkinson's, another care partner, it's scary because their person is already at a level where mine is not. And I'm going, oh my gosh, that's what's ahead of me, and it is scary.
Yeah.
And we've been married 52 years, so nothing was going to change that. It was just how am I going to change to be this kind of a care partner? I'm not a nurse. What kind of level and how long can I be a care partner that can actually take care of him when he
Right.
reaches a different level. So it was it was scary, very scary. But then I I remember we went to early on a Michael J. Fox conference,
Mm-hmm.
or I think it was a conference. Oh, it was the opening of the neuroscience hospital wing. He
Oh,
came
yeah.
to give Columbus praise for having that kind of a facility. And so in his statements, it was basically one, just live for today, but two, don't get there before your patient does. So what he
Oh,
was saying is, don't say you can't do this until he says he can't. Don't say he can't, ride a bike if he thinks he still can. And then he or the person who has Parkinson's needs to say, I can't ride the bike anymore. Then you can step in and say, well, we'll get rid of the bike. But just live each day the way
wow.
you want to live it, as long as you have that day to live it.
What's the hardest part about it? What's the toughest thing that you face as a care partner?
As a care partner, unfortunately, I think the hardest part is in our minds and in our hearts. We don't want to picture our loved one, or in my case, my husband, um, in a situation of uh, pain or suffering, not being able, having to rely on total somebody. And if that somebody's me, um, I can only do so much. I have back issues and
Mhm.
uh, a hip issue, which I'm getting a shot soon, I hope. So I can't do that much. I won't pick him up. I won't do anything like that. So if he would fall, I'd have to call 911. Um, but I think that the uncertainty is the hardest. Will he be here 10 more years? Will I be here 10 more? I mean, we all have those questions, right? But
Yeah.
in what shape will he be if he's here, 10 more years? And what are my kids or am I going to have to deal um, with that? Um,
Yeah.
that's why I think it's easier and better to look at just what's happening today and try not to get into the future. But that's the hardest is trying not to picture what that might look like.
Yeah.
And I have, you may ask, but I'm in a support group, which I love. And I don't know what I would do without it because with them, comes a lot of resources, things we can do, equipment that helps things get a little bit easier, um, and the hugs and the support that we get from each other
So just to clarify,
is
you're in a support group for care partners.
yes, just care partners, not the and not for your partner with
Yeah, yeah, right,
Parkinson's.
right.
And that is where we're able to just let it go. We laugh, we cry. Um, we says, my husband or my spouse or my loved one does the same thing. And then it's a
Mm,
reassurance for us that we're not in it alone. And so that care partner support group is wonderful. We have several widows who have lost their husbands from Parkinson's, and they continue to come to help us that still have our spouses alive. So,
yeah,
and they like it because it's still their kind of a support group that they love to connect with. And my other self help or self care, I guess, would be church.
mm,
Going to church and being with my fellowship of friends there and worshiping and giving praise is how I get fed spiritually.
hmm. Yeah, so important. I'll ask the
It
question,
is.
what do you wish Jim knew about your situation as a care partner?
Interesting enough, Matt, we're very open in talking about how we feel about different situations.
Okay.
And the such as the other night, our granddaughter had a music concert, choir concert, and when I got the notice, um, I might say, well, I guess we won't go because that wouldn't work. And Jim is not real good at night walking in places he doesn't know. And I told him, I says, I'm going.
Mhm.
It's like I have to find that way to say I want to still do what I can do while I can,
Yeah,
and so that I went, and then so we try to really be open with how we're feeling, um, and I am pretty sure he knows, my concerns with where he's headed, and we talk about it. We're both in bad, we're both in bad shapes as far as my back and his Parkinson's. You should have seen us last night trying to get the tree up. Oh my Lord.
the
So,
Christmas tree.
but we did it, and we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah,
Um, but I think we're trying to be very honest and open with each other regarding it, because otherwise you can be carrying a lot of anxiety and a lot of sometimes anger if you don't
sure.
let them know that these things are bothering you, or you really don't want to, do that or experience that. So, yeah, I think we're really pretty open with each other about those things.
From my vantage point, it seems like there's an unfair burden on care partners to sort of hide things that, emotions or ideas that people would find off-putting, in the sense that, if you were to have the thought that you didn't want to do this anymore, or you're really tired of it, or you wish
Oh, yes.
all these things that technically kind of care partners aren't really allowed to say because you don't have the disease, you
Well,
know.
and we're not allowed not to do it. So, in other words, all of a sudden, Jim used to do the grocery shopping, and
Mm,
now I'm doing it actually online and picking it up. Um, and I take care of all the bills and the banking, and um, we're having some things done to the house so that we can have wider doors and taller toilets, and all those decisions are on me.
yeah,
And so just making sure that it's right, but I'm trying to share with him as well. Here's what I picked out. Here's what
yeah,
here's what this is going to look like. But he wouldn't say yay or nay, just
mm,
that I've done it. Um, but it's like if I make a wrong decision or if I make a wrong purchase, or then, and yet it was one of their friends in the pool who is a widow. And I said, oh, I'm so tired of having to pay the bills and, do this and do that and get the laundry done and all that. And because, my husband's not able to do it. And then she says, but you have your husband.
Mhm.
So there's that, right?
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
I don't know that our kids see him and know, what he's like, but sometimes, as many of you know, they put on their best behavior when they're with the family or somewhere else, and they say, oh, he looks great, oh, he's doing good, and I'm going, oh, but you don't see him at home.
Right.
And so at home we have a routine of taking naps, sleeping in, whatever we need to do if we don't have to get up, and making sure things are in order as much as we can. Today, I bought a big calendar so that I'll start now putting things in the calendar for each one of us so that he has that to look at.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some memory things going on.
Yeah.
So,
what is something you'd like to say to care partners? Surely there's going to be some watching this, and if you could just encourage them or say something to them, what might that be?
wow.
I didn't put that in my list of questions, did I?
Well, that's okay, because I think what I like hearing is that in the support group is that we're here for you. If you have anything, we share our phone numbers. Call us. Even meet me for coffee if that's what you need to do. But don't do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. Some of them don't have family nearby, and so they do feel isolated and lonely and alone. But that's why we share our phone numbers and tell them, call me or connect with them some other way. And there's another, person who was at our lunch last week who can't come on Thursdays. And because she has something else on Thursdays. And I said, well, here's my number. Call me and we'll get together on our own. So I haven't heard from her yet, but I have her number too. So I'd give her some time to kind of absorb all that. But it's just reassuring to know that I'm not in this alone. There's many friends and people who are there for me.